Have you ever been in a situation where, oh, hello guys, how you doing? It's me again. So get ready with me while I share a story about one of the experiences I've had to encourage someone. But of course, I'm not going to go ahead without giving you a biblical background. So I was reading my Bible in the book of Exodus chapter 14, right, where the Israelites had encounter with the Egyptians, already out of Egypt, and they were heading to their promised land. Looked behind them and they saw the Egyptians coming after them in full force. So at that point they were scared and they started lamenting, murmuring, they were like, Moses, why is it that there's no grave in Egypt that made it to bring us to this place? And I'm like, if I were the one, it's like being between the devil and the deep blue sea. Looking in front of you is the Red Sea, behind you is the Egyptians. I mean, a natural man would have been left with these two options, right? It's either you jump into the sea or you wait for the Egyptians to come and capture you. Obviously, those are the two options available. So guys, let me know in the comment section, for humor's sake, if that was you, which option would you have chosen? If there's another option that you thought of at this point, you can as well go ahead and put it in the comment section. Okay, so then there's another option that most times when we are facing difficult situations, we don't weigh this option, and that is the option of looking up. You've looked to your left, you've looked to your right, it's all danger, it's all screaming danger, but then we fail to look up. Of course, if you look down, there's nothing down. So why not look up? Even the Bible says in the book of Psalms chapter 1, 2, and I look up to the hills, whence does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, my help comes from above, right? Okay, so it was because they were with Moses, and Moses, being a man of the spirit, was able to look up, knowing that God was involved, God was with them. So Moses cried out to God, and God showed them a way out. God had to part the Red Sea for the sake of the Israelites. I mean, when I hear these stories, it actually blows my mind. I can't even imagine it. Going to the story I talked about, I was in similar situation when I was in the university. So it happened that there was this lecturer. He was very notorious for sleeping with students for grade. You know how it goes. So it got to a point, I think I was in my junior level, and a man of mine called me out and asked that he wanted to talk to me. So, and he was talking to me out and was like, okay, this man wants you to us to date you, us to sleep with you, that kind of a thing, in exchange for grades. And I was actually gobsmacked because he didn't think I was one that would get such offer to exchange grades for something else, because I knew that it was something I could get by working hard, that is reading. So but I got a lot of threats. This guy said that this man sent him to me, and he said that if I don't oblige, he was going to make sure that I got an F9 in his course. And he was taking us on two courses, theory and practical. And then there's another course he will be taking us the next year in my final levels, and if I don't cooperate, I'll be sure to get an F9 in that course as well. Oh, it was an icing on the cake. I was promised that even with the F9, if I try to receive the next year, I should be sure to keep getting an F9 each year. So invariably, he was saying I wasn't going to graduate if I don't accept his offer. The guy, he said, tried his best in convincing me, but yuck, I couldn't even get myself to think in that direction. I had to send him back to tell the man that I would pass on his offer. So I went ahead with what felt like the most natural thing to do, which was to study and more study to make sure he wouldn't see any grounds to give me an F9. But alas, when the results were out, I did get an F9 for real. Like for real. I was really devastated because that was my first. And recalling his promise, I was really scared. Like I was scared to my bones. I didn't know what to do. I thought about telling my parents, but then I kicked against it, knowing that if they report to the school, the matter might get worse. But like Moses, I started to cry out to the Lord. I started to look up to Jehovah, because he never fails. I remember soaking my pillow every night, crying out to God to show up. Guess what? God showed up. He really did. So next thing I had was the said man took bribe from the final year students and gave them scores that was impossible to obtain in a practical course. So the school had to look into this unbelievable success rate and found out that bribery was involved. Hence, this man was suspended and stripped of all the courses he handled. the 300 level courses and the 400 level courses, which means I could go ahead and resit my exam and get the score that I deserve without fear of repeating or not graduating, right? And what was more shocking was the fact that the result of the final year students was cancelled and they were all made to return to school during the holiday to write the course all over again. Imagine the extent the Lord went in liberating me, just about the same extent that He went in parting the Red Sea for the sake of the Israelites. Whenever God shows up, He shows off. So my darlings, remember to always look up to God when situations try to box you in. Know that the way up is the way out. Bye bye.